everybody, welcome to the garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton's behind the camera, and welcome to the court of public opinion. I tell you, I'm not a great sports person. Pete is, aren't you?
I love it, yes.
Loves it. 18 gold, 53 medals in all. I don't know, by the way, the language seems to be changing a bit. People are now described as meddling. Meddling? Now, I know the language is always changing, but meddling is now in the vernacular. Australia is meddling really well. This sounds odd to me. I won't go there. But there's no doubt that we can be pretty damn proud of ourselves. We've had the best ever Olympic Games result. As I say, 18 gold medals. Last Thursday, our most successful day, 4 gold in 5 hours. Amazing. And when you consider the population of Australia against the size of China and the USA, well, we are really amazing. Congratulations to everybody involved. And by the way, breakdancing. Breakdancing is not an Olympic sport. I don't care how good you are at it or how bad you are at it. It's an activity, for God's sake. It can't be a sport, sorry. Neither is square dancing, yodeling, marbles, 10-pin bowling. Oh, yeah, look, if breakdancing gets into the Olympics, 10-pin bowling should. What about Rubik's Cube? Kite flying, maybe. I don't know. Pete, can you think of one?
Well, I think you've got pretty well covered.
Dog walking?
Yeah, dog walking. I'd into that one.
Yes, it can be something done with a lot of style over different distances. Some 20 influential Australians have signed an open letter yesterday urging a ban on the advertising of sports gambling, sports betting. John Howard, Malcolm Turnbull, Jeff Kennett from New South Wales, former Premier of New South Wales, Dominic Perrottet, Steve Bracks from Victoria, and as I say, 20 very influential Australians, and they're absolutely right. I know it'll affect the bottom line of media, mostly television, but that would just simply be the consequence of doing the right thing. Now, as I said to you last week, just accept all the recommendations of the late Peter Murphy, who had that very detailed, quite lengthy and expensive inquiry. And for some strange reason, oh God, I know the lobbyists, they must have been thick on the ground in Canberra. But government just has to stand up to that kind of thing. It's there to do the right thing, which in this case I think would be the popular thing. Gay Pride. Gay Pride, ladies and gentlemen, a function at the Australian Embassy in Washington recently. Have you heard about this, Pete?
No, I haven't.
Well, thanks to freedom of information, we know that Ambassador Kevin Rudd threw a party, a Gay Pride party, complete with $4,000 worth of balloons, guests flown in from Australia at great expense, including a $4,000 fee for an Australian drag queen. Her name is Kitty Glitter. Not Kitty Litter, Kitty Glitter, a.k.a. K Glitz, I understand, thanks to the Sydney Morning Herald. Also on his or her return, airfares, they had to be paid as well. Now, couldn't they have found a local drag queen? I'm sorry, they'd have lots of them in Washington, I'm sure. Maybe Kitty Glitter is a personal favourite or something, I don't know. Anyway, the total price for this Pride party was in excess of $30,000 for the night. What do you think? You think that's reasonable? You might like to ring me on Friday and tell me what you think of it. Here's something that I think we all should keep our eye on. I am told that this Labor government is considering a new tax to be introduced in 2025. This is just a few months away, no doubt after the election, a tax, now listen to this, a tax on unrealized capital gains, meaning your tax liability would normally be incurred when you sell that asset, when you realize your gain, your profit. Now this tax could cover anything and everything, property, art, shares, cars, any asset that is appreciating. Now, such a tax is being considered, I understand, also by the Democrats in the United States. It's political dynamite, absolute dynamite. Anthony Albanese won't mention the imposition of such a tax before the election. I'm pretty sure of that. And you can't trust him, even if it comes up and he swears blue in the face. You cannot trust him or Labor, even if he promises not to impose such a tax. Remember the countless times that he promised that the stage 3 tax cuts would not be touched. Now think about it. Every single thing you own, any value. And when you think about it, everything's appreciating. Well, there are some things that are depreciating. I don't know that you'd be able to claim those losses. I must check up on that. But anything you own of value is logically appreciating all the time. And you'll be expected to pay tax on that appreciation. Just where would they expect people to get the money from without selling that asset? Okay, think about that. Remember where you heard it. 70 years old and 50 million meals delivered. The South Australian original, because this is where it came from, Meals on Wheels. Happy birthday and congratulations to all those wonderful volunteers. Fantastic people you are. As you know, I'm not a fan of electric cars. The government is prepared to, it would seem, put our lives and property at risk because of their beloved policy to promote electric cars and, of course, save the world. Like The Voice, no logic, no thought, no reason, just blind ideology. The story I told you on Friday at the dining room table when we were live streaming, jeremycordeaux.com, is well worth repeating in case you didn't hear that. This is just recently, I'm talking last week, you can Google it and find all the details. An unplugged electric Mercedes-Benz sedan caught fire last Thursday in an underground car park at an apartment complex in Seoul, Korea. According to fire authorities, more than 700 residents were evacuated, 140 cars were destroyed, and 23 people were hospitalized. Several office buildings have now banned electric vehicles from entering and parking, according to notices on social media. Now, if you consider the naive way, if you drive around, if you go to a office complex here, or you go to a shopping centre or a supermarket, and you've got undercroft parking, and sometimes they're even nice enough to provide terminals for recharging your electric car. That's not going to last. One big tragedy, and we'll see that, I think, electric cars will be banned from such parking opportunities. The honeymoon might just be over. I'm talking about the government. When governments get in, they have a pretty reasonable honeymoon period. But when I see that hospital patients here in South Australia are to be put up in hotels, I think that is a very big demonstration of a failed policy. Last month, more deaths here in South Australia because of ramping, which this government promised to end, of course. Hospital ramping last month, let me tell you, was 5,000 539 hours. That's the time people spent lying in the back of an ambulance. Which is really quite disgraceful. Government should get its bum kicked over that. Half of this state's preschool teachers plan on leaving. They plan on resigning. Now the government, the federal government, last week agreed to pay teachers 15% more money, a pay rise. That's going to cost the taxpayers a bit over $3.6 billion. The teachers wanted 25%, they got 15%. And I think it's over 2 years. Now, is that inflationary? Because the government has been warned about its spending. Of course it's inflationary. And how are you going to stop the childcare centres simply putting up their fees by a similar amount? You see that with health funds, private health insurance, all the time. It's the 13th of August, my late brother's birthday, in fact. And on the 11th, that was last Sunday, it was 5DN's birthday. 100 years ago on Sunday, an Adelaide first, one of many firsts we've put our name to here in South Australia. 5DN became the first commercial radio station in Australia and one of the first in the world, broadcasting 12 hours a day and then later on 24/7. Now, these days, it's called, well, I suppose it's called, it's a bit murky, really. You might say it's called cruise, or then again it might be mix. I don't know. Anyway, we all hopefully remember 5DN very fondly. The former head of ASIO and the former Australian ambassador to the United States, his name is Dennis Richardson. He was also head of foreign affairs, I think, Dennis Richardson. He says it's okay for people to come to Australia even if they are supporters of a terrorist organisation. Hamas? Hezbollah? Really? Mr. Richardson's comments were reported in The Age and taken further by Tom Elliott on 3AW. Now, I fully expected Dennis Richardson to clarify what he was reported to have said. But no correction, no rebuttal. The statement, I guess, stands. And I find it amazing. What do you think? You might like to give me a call on Friday. 0491 65 68 60. Give me a ring. The likelihood of a terrorist attack is now probable. Not possible, but probable. That's according to the current Director General of ASIO, Mike Burgess. Well, let me say this. Anyone with a historical connection to or a reasonable suspicion of being associated with a known terrorist organisation should not be allowed into this country. I'm sorry.
And if they're here, they should be kicked out.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happens at the moment. I would suspect a bit of surveillance, but that doesn't give me any great sense of comfort. Don't gamble with our security. Don't let these people into the country in the first place. Well, what's complicated about it? The government has no responsibility to other people, other nations, in other places. Just us. It's been elected to look after this country. Just forget the woke, forget the globalism, and all of these people who were given sanctuary, not by Middle Eastern countries for some strange reason, but by European and Western countries. I'm talking about the Gazans, people calling themselves Palestinians. Thousands came to Australia in the days following October 7. And I'm told that visas were provided in the conventional way within 12 hours. Now, anyone who's tried to get a visa knows that it takes longer to do the checks than 12 hours. I don't know that you could check people's background in 12 or 24 hours. Were those people properly screened? I would say not. Have I got time for one more? Healthy forests. We all think of forests as being beautiful and green and vital, wonderful things. The Healthy Forest Foundation. Gee, that sounds good. Sort of foundation I'd like to belong to. But when you look more closely, as it always pays to do, perhaps not. It seems the board of Healthy Forests Foundation is stacked with loggers. You know, the people who cut forests down. Explain that. According to ASIC, the foundation is there for the protection and enhancement of the natural environment. There is another view. Could be that they're there to find a way to cut down forests. I think they call it greenwashing. Anyway, as you know, our podcast and our posting on Facebook of the Court of Public Opinion is brought to you with the very best wishes of a couple of fine South Australian organisations. One of them is the Rising Sun Inn at Kensington. Why don't you call Grant and make a booking? It could be a family get-together, it could be a product launch, it could be a romantic dinner for two, lovely open fires. It's still open fire weather, ladies and gentlemen. Very atmospheric pub, in fact, winner of the best South Australian pub or inn in the state. It's quite something. Talk to Grant. I'll give you his number. It's 8333 0721. 8333 0721. August the 13th. Indeedy. The invention of stainless steel. Brealey of Sheffield in England. Harry Brealey invented it 1913 on this day. Stainless steel. Golly. The construction of the Berlin Wall begins in East Germany on this day in 1961. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Well, eventually it did come down, didn't it? What was that song that was about? Do you remember that, Pete?
No. No.
No.
What song? No, I don't know.
Why are you staring at the camera?
Well, just did something funny, that's all.
Oh, okay. I think it was, let me think, Tony Fisher, West of the Wall.
No, don't know it.
Good song. West of the Wall, Tony Fisher, I'm sure it was. W.O. Bentley, English engineer and motoring pioneer who founded Bentley Motors. He dies at 82 on this day in 1971. Alfred Hitchcock, English film director, Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window, Vertigo. He was born in Essex. Died in 1980, born 1899 on this very day. John Logie Baird, Scottish inventor and father of television. He died 1946, but born this day in 1888. Annie Oakley. I have an Annie Oakley commemorative rifle. Annie Oakley, the sharpshooter, the Buffalo Bill Wild West show, born in North Star, Iowa, on this day in 1960. Best shot in the world. The Manhattan Project commences under the direction of US General Leslie Groves. Its aim? To deliver an atomic bomb. 1942. And they sure delivered. Felix Wankel, German inventor, he invented the rotary piston engine, the Wankel rotary piston engine. He was born 1902. I'll give you one more. Florence Nightingale, British nurse who revolutionized nursing during the Crimean War, dies at the age of 90. It was 1910 on this day. So if you're celebrating, I hope it's been a wonderful day and it's not over yet. So happy birthday or happy wedding anniversary. We'll see you tomorrow with another posting. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I will return. Believe in yourself and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.